All right, now to the Rebound Milwaukee and our continuing coverage of the backlog of unemployment claims. Many who are self-employed or don't otherwise qualify for regular unemployment tell us that they've been waiting for payment since March. Kristen Byrne asked the head of the Department of Workforce Development what's taking so long.
Self-employed or contracted workers who found themselves out of work this spring were eligible to apply for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, also known as PUA. But the head of the DWD tells me they have paid out roughly 10% of those applications they've received.
It's just a matter of waiting, and about every week we were told we're working on the program, we're going to start paying out next week. And then the next week will come, and then it just kept kind of rolling on.
Shannon Times Rainwater of West Bend was self-employed before the COVID-19 pandemic made it impossible to work back in February. This week, she finally got some of her benefits, but she says they're only paying her back since April, when the PUA program started.
A few applications are getting processed every week, but there really is a significant lack of communication and transparency with the program.
Shannon is also an administrator of a Facebook group called the Wisconsin Unemployment Support Group, which has more than 4,000 residents across the state waiting for help. She says there are several people asking about PUA benefits on the group, like one woman who is a contracted worker in the production industry who didn't want to be identified. She writes, quote, "Every day I wake up and check my claimant portal to see if there has been any progress. I've been calling my life Groundhog Day with the DWD." Another anonymous production worker tells us it took 4 months for him to only hear his application was being reviewed under PUA, writing, quote, "This at least gives me some sense of ease knowing that human eyes are looking at my case, but it's very unacceptable." They are two of approximately 62,000 people waiting for PUA benefits. DWD Secretary Caleb Frostman tells us about 70,000 people applied for PUA benefits. Around 7,800 have been paid.
We have to determine eligibility, we have to determine the amount, and so that's a very manual process.
Frostman says they have to figure out how much money each person can get before they're approved. With a complicated work history, it can make processing them especially difficult. Would DWD consider clearing some of the claims without asking claimants, for that tax documentation, just to streamline it all?
The issue is with PUA, you have to determine a monetary amount, and it's based on last year's income. So we need income verification to make that determination as to what that dollar amount is going to be.
The DWD has set up a separate call center to handle specifically PUA calls, which Frostman hopes will help cut down the backlog. Is it hard for you to get those calls and read those stories and talk to those people who are waiting on their money?
It is really challenging, and their challenges are so heartbreaking, and it really fuels our sense of urgency from the person working in the mailroom up to the adjudicator up to the secretary's office.
For those still waiting, Times Rainwater says some people have been forced out of their homes.
It's disheartening. First of all, because people are now to the point where there are several people that are homeless and living in their cars. So they've been waiting a really long time and just keep getting the runaround.
For the Rebound Milwaukee, I'm Kristen Byrne.